Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
Hi. Welcome to Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Hey.
This is our author podcast that we do 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you can listen to our other podcasts like Miguel and Holly Full Show, Miguel and Holly Queen City Confessions. Please take a listen. Also, if you're on the iHeartRadio app, add Hits 96.1 to your number one preset.
Are you all right?
No.
No,
I'm kidding. I was watching clips from Amy Poehler's podcast. I can't remember what it's called, but the clips I see on TikTok are really funny. But I was just thinking, because, we're always assessing our performance on the radio and the podcast. And I was like, I wonder if I yell too much or I'm too excitable. Because like when Amy Poehler does it, she's very much like, so I've got Holly O'Connor here. How are you doing, Holly? And the other person's like, I know.
That's her personality, though.
Right.
Yours
It's
is
very like
different.
Right. But I was just like, I wonder if I just approach things differently. If I was just like, wait, what is
What
this?
you're trying to do
yourself?
you're trying to do like a nighttime podcast to put you to sleep or what?
Well, because you know how like on our consultants or, they're like,
Stop
I can
yelling.
sound robotic or stop
Oh.
yelling. And I'm like, maybe because it's behind the scenes. Like when you start radio, new DJs, especially in the top 40 realm, you always mistake excitement for yelling.
Correct.
And so that's one of the first rules that you have to break. And so every DJ, every on-air personality, when you start in top 40, like when I did, it was like, hey, what was it? Kiss 97.3. I'm Spanish Michael. Yes, St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner.
I know there's a lot of yelling. I'd be
Yes.
like, broadcasting live from the Clear Channel Entertainment Complex. Like, girl, there's a microphone already.
Right.
We don't need to yell.
And then like the program director has to sit you down and go, okay, your heart's in the right place.
Right. We
But-
appreciate your enthusiasm.
Right. But you're not really emoting excitement. You're screaming.
Yeah.
Correct.
And so then you're like, well, how do I sound excited without sound screaming? And so then you go back and forth and you sort of learn a nice path. But then as I was like watching Amy Poehler, I'm like, what if I just one day was like, good Wednesday morning. It is June 11th, year of our Lord, 2025. My name is Miguel Fuller.
I'd be like, wait a second. Stop. I'm not Holly O'Connoring until we figure out what's going on.
Kevin Life.
Like, that's just not us. I have heard people now where it just sounds like they could not care less.
Right.
It's not
That
the
they-
party.
Have a microphone. It's kind of like, well, it's Tuesday.
Right.
How are you feeling today? And I'm just like, am I supposed to be in a good mood listening to this? Because
Right.
I feel like now that we're all in the same doldrums.
Well, one of the notes that I got recently was that I think that I'm too, I can't think of the word they use, but basically like I'm too organized, basically, like when we do a break. So like there's a formula for how I open up each segment that we do on the radio. So let's say the topic is Holly and Maya got into some crazy shenanigans at the movie theater. So the song ends probably fucking hosier.
Please stay.
Benson Boone.
Benson Boone.
So what I do is I go, beautiful things, Benson Boone. Holly got into some crazy-ish with her daughter at the movie theater this weekend. Hits 96.1 with Miguel and Holly. Holly, what happened with you and Maya this weekend?
Oh, God. That was perfect. I can't.
You do that every single
Oh,
time. It's
God.
comforting. I find it comforting.
I know, but like apparently it's
You're not supposed to do it the same way every time.
right. It's a little formulaic and it's a little
Maybe that's what they meant when they said robotic.
right. And so that's why I'm like, and this is what I was telling our boss Trevor, because him and I were having this conversation, and this was a couple weeks ago, and I was like, but then I don't want to like small talk because then we're supposed to get straight to the point.
Word economy.
Right. So like, how do I? So
And
I'm
you're also supposed to hook them in the first sentence.
right, and then also acknowledge the music.
And station business.
Station
Right.
business.
So
They don't leave you that many options.
so I'm like, I don't. So what do we? So it's Benson
What
Boone
am I
like.
supposed to do?
Right, I'm like, Benson Boone, yeah, girl. I know that Benson he ain't got no knees, girl. Yes, honey.
No, but then they're like, oh, it's too gay.
Right.
Too many emotions.
We're like, oh, you don't need to yes girl every Benson Boone. Like, we know he got the same fresh knees.
No, but I'm supposed to sound excited every time the song plays, like it played for the first time, even though it's been 5 years. So then I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Like, y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. Like, this sounds like really ridiculous, but this is the struggle.
Like we will literally sit in a conference room with 10 grown-ass adults
yes.
who all probably make well into the six figures, and they're talking about how I intro each talk segment.
Like
Right.
for the first 15 seconds
Yes.
of us
It's-
being on the microphone.
Instead of trying to revolutionize how our listeners can consume our content in a way better way that
Or
competes
fix
with
Nielsen.
others.
Just fix it. Fix it, Jesus.
So anyway, I got all that from watching
Yeah.
Amy Poehler on TikTok the other day, and I was like,
But wait, what was the question? That you need to be more like Amy Poehler?
well, I was just
Or
wondering, like,
How
if,
does she do it?
because remember, we did have that one guy who was like, talk like y'all talk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm like, if I talk like how I talk in real life, our show would slow down so much because I don't talk that fast like I talk on the radio.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a very see, like this is how I talk. Like I have to I'm putting my words together as I'm speaking, whereas when we're on the radio, I have my thoughts together.
Yeah.
I know where I'm going, and I'm like, I got to get to point A to point B to point C. There's room in the middle for what's going to happen, like what Holly's going to say, or if we bring Kelvin in,
Yeah.
but I know where we're going to end every time.
Right.
And I think that's what they were like. It's too robotic. So somebody was like, well, like listening to your podcast, you guys sound so conversational and
Right.
just normal. And I think in the middle of our segments, we also do too. But how do you start sounding normal with all that shit that you got to say?
Right.
Mhm.
It's not normal.
We-
Nobody normally would sit down with a friend and be like, hits 96.1. That's Hosier for the 7 millionth time. Because that's not a normal thing
Right.
that people say in conversation. So
Right.
how do you sneak it in? I don't know.
And that's the thing. I mean, you can tell how somebody's giving you advice if they're coming at it from, oh, be more casual. But what we do is not casual,
Right.
nor is it really a conversation, to be quite honest. We're performing.
Right. Right.
But we have to perform in a way where you feel like we're inviting you to the table,
Yes.
but it's still a performance. When we go watch a movie or when we go watch a show in theater, they're not inviting us, they're performing.
Right.
For us, we
Right.
not only have to perform, we also have to make it available for people. It's kind of hard if you think about it. And a lot of people, I think,
Very
often
hard.
think that just talking on the radio and being yourself, that's just maybe 1% of it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I think one of the hardest parts there's a few things about hosting a show in my position is the
Especially you.
transition at the end of something. And
Yeah.
especially because
Yes.
I started my career as a producer, third mic.
Mhm.
So I was the Kelvin. So like I would come in with like funny lines and like the funny thing, or I would be laughing in the background because I find a lot of things funny, and that's still me. But then I also have to drive the ship. And so there'll be times where I'm like, that's so funny. Woo! And then Holly's done laughing, the listener's done laughing, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta like,
Oh.
we gotta transition. So then I gotta
Put
go
it
get
in
like,
drive.
where I gotta be like, all right, so girl, we gotta share your salary coming up.
Right.
But then they're like, be natural with that. And I'm like, there's no natural way, because when I'm with my friends laughing, I'm not ever like, all right, Kelvin, so tell me about that thing you talked about the other day,
Right.
girl.
Yes.
Moving on. Yeah, it's not natural, but they want it to seem natural. And then they're always like, you missed the exit.
Right.
Well, okay, that's fine. Like maybe I hear the exit, but then it's like your brain is focusing on two different things at the same time.
Yes.
And sound natural.
Right. And by exit, Holly means like we should have gotten out of the segment.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
there'll be lots of times where you'll hear us take phone calls. And this is the hard part. Like when you're in your car listening, and even when I listen back to the full show podcast, I'll be like, ooh,
We
I
missed
probably
the
should have ended
exit.
with that phone call. We didn't need that extra phone call.
Mhm.
But what happens is we're so like thirsty to hear from you that we want to hear from you. We want to hear your opinions. And if I look and I see that Kelvin has answered 3 phone calls and we just got through one, but it was a really great phone call, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to go to the phones because you took the time to dial our phone to get in. And that doesn't happen often like it used to happen. And so I want to
No.
acknowledge you and make sure that you get to tell your story. But then that also can make the segment go too long. And then
Right.
we've missed the getting out at the high point.
The high point, because also if that listener that called in had a really great story and we're all laughing, then we've got like one more phone call. It's like just one more phone call, and we do have 30 seconds, and then they start talking,
Yes.
and they are a terrible storyteller,
Mhm.
or they sound unenergetic. And by the way, it's Kelvin's job also, which he does great at, to pump you up when you're like in the waiting room, like, right? You're like, okay, well, when you get on with Miguel and Holly, you got to sound really excited or tell your story just like how you told me. And then they get on the air and then they don't.
They
They
get
fumble.
shy.
Mhm.
They get
They
shy,
get really,
or they
really
get,
shy.
because they're not performers.
Right.
Right.
So then they're like, well, now it was a Tuesday. You know what? I think it was a Wednesday. And as soon as that shit happens, we're like, oh God, oh God, oh God. Like warning lights are going off. We're like, we have to get out of this.
My
We
heart
have to get out.
sinks. So then I'm
Everything-
just like looking for an exit just to turn that phone call down.
Turn it up. Just get to a point where they take a breath and like,
Like,
wow,
whoa.
you know, just because like not everyone is a natural storyteller.
Mhm.
And we're actually requesting a lot from you when you call. And it's just to tell your story in a succinct yet entertaining way,
Right.
which is not easy.
It's not.
We have a hard time doing it. Why would we expect you to do it so good?
And we've
you
been
know?
training and doing this forever, and we still
And we get yelled at all the
coached
time.
about like, ooh, that
You were
story.
circling the drain, because circling the drain is like, we've now made the point 3 times.
Yeah.
You
Right.
don't need to make that.
Yeah.
I'm particularly bad at that.
We probably do that a lot. Oh, and we do that a lot in the podcast, but it's like
Yeah.
nice to be able to. I think that's why on the podcast you hear me. I can only imagine how weird it is to listen to the full show podcast and then listen to the uncensored podcast, because
Two
it's
totally
two
different things.
totally different versions of all of us. We're like on the air, I'm like boom, 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 boom. Whereas on here, I'm like, well, you know,
Yeah.
because that's just my natural thinking pattern is a little bit slower.
I think
And
you're the more polarizing one,
what do you mean?
because I'm
Polar-
still hokey pokey saying jokey here and there on both. For you, you are playing 2 different roles.
Right. Where it's like, you know, and then like trying to keep it lighthearted. So I'm like, ooh, what's a funny moment here
Yeah.
and whatnot. So
Yeah, because we also have been told that we're too serious.
Mhm.
And because, for just as the example that comes to mind, is Queen City Confessions, where
right.
people confess things and then we sort of like psychoanalyze it. By the way, nobody asked us to do that. We just started
No.
doing it. And so then I've definitely gotten like the warning, like the little red flag that's like, nobody, that's depressing, Holly.
Right.
Like you're nobody signed up for a therapy session. Keep it light. So then I'm like, okay. But then that goes against my natural tendency to want to help someone through psychoanalysis. And
Mhm.
so it's like, well, I'm just breaking up with my boyfriend, and I want to be like, okay, girl, well, let's get into it. So like, have you already said that? But then I might, like, the little brain thing happens and I'm like, better that you don't have many more single
Right.
summer. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know. That's not my natural thing, but that's what I'm supposed to do.
But then this is
So
where
it's-
Holly and I catch each other. Like if
Yeah.
I know that Holly has gone down the serious path, then my brain's like, all right, I can't pile on and be like, and you know, this
Yeah.
thing happened to me where I was abused. I'm like, girl, you better wrap it up.
But, like,
Okay.
We do that, but I don't consciously do that.
Mm.
That's the subconscious work. So if you get serious, then I'm always like, well, I don't know.
Right.
And we do catch each other, which is good, because God, I'm really, I can suck the energy right out of everyone. Oh, Jesus.
No,
it's actually, it's not rocket science, but it is
right.
hard to do this job.
Just to it's like it's the same thing, but you have to like be very thoughtful. I just will never forget like my first job that I had working at a consulting firm when I was in high school, and my grandma was like, "You have to use your brain for this." And so I always think about, and not saying not saying that you don't use your brain for other jobs, but just like what the options were at the time for a 16-year-old. She was just like, you have to think, you have to be detail oriented. And that's a lot of what this job is. That there's so many little details that you have to, keep in mind as you're doing it. But so there you go. Anyway, a little behind the scenes.
A little 15-minute behind the scenes.
Right. See, circling a drain.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about this video that has gone viral. It is this mom that's pissing off a lot of men by explaining why many women have low sex drives. And Holly, I wanted to obviously get your opinion on this, being that you are a woman and a mom.
I am a woman and a mom.
Let me share this with you.
I don't think I've seen this.
It was in the prep this morning.
Mm.
All right, let me just refresh it so the audio comes up. Wait.
Mom Libido 101. Here's the basics of the formula. The amount she slept last night, plus how much food she's eaten today, sitting down, times the amount of help her partner gave her, divided by the annoying fucking comments, minus the number of times she was touched by her children today. So let's run through an example, shall we? Let's say mom got 8 hours of sleep last night, ate 3 full meals. Her partner did pickup and bath time, but he was really fucking annoying twice. Then we have to subtract by the 1,000 times that she was touched today. Does anyone know what the answer is? Not a fucking chance. Welcome to Mom Libido 101.
Basically,
here's the basics of the formula.
There ain't no way I'm having sex.
Right.
Right.
I see.
So, Holly, would you agree that, like, when it comes to mothering, job, all that stuff, why sometimes maybe y'all might have a little dry spell?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just, I often feel like, how many times do people need me today? Like, I feel like I'm always giving. And so then, like, yes, sex is supposed to be fun and like, pleasurable, but like it sometimes feels like another thing on a to-do list before I can go to sleep. Like, I just want to go to sleep and be cozy in my bed and not worry about sex, even though it's nice.
It's not the first time I've heard a woman say that. I've had my best friend tell me, like, he wanted to do it and it's been a while and I just got it over with. And
well, that's the other thing. You start to feel guilt because if it has been a while, then you're like, oh God, I'm not meeting my partner's physical and emotional needs. He's going to think there's a problem. But then, like, my fiance has been good about telling me, he's like, if you feel like you are just doing it so that I can do it, he's like, please don't. Because he's like, I never want to feel like I'm into it and you're just doing me a favor. He's like, could you like think if it were the opposite way around, like you wouldn't feel very sexy like that. And he's like, and I would feel like it was coercive and I don't want to get into that. But then you like, and I'm like, okay, I appreciate that. But then still in the back of my mind, if we haven't for a while, there starts to be a little bit of a ticker. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if he knows that it's been a while. I'm sure he knows it's been a while.
Right.
Like,
he's counting. He's like, it's been 5 days, 6 hours, 3 minutes, and
correct.
3 seconds.
And I'm like, oh no. And then you get the thing too. By the way, I wanted to say a quick sidebar that mom probably has very small kids too. Like, it's less like that as they get older, but it still is like that. I have an 11-year-old. So anyway, I just feel like it's also a bit of patriarchy where it's like, oh, the woman is supposed to take care of her man or whatever, because he's got needs. But that's like, it's just always like in the back of your mind where it's like, am I doing all the things? How long has it been? And once you don't have sex for a while, it's really easy to just be like, I'm fine.
Mm.
I'm fine. I don't know. For me anyway. I can't speak for everybody. Certainly can't speak for every person, let alone every woman. But it starts to be like, oh God, that seems like a lot of work. But then once you get into a groove of like, okay, every weekend on Fridays we're having sex, then it's like it's not that big. Like then it's like, oh, it is really great, and I remember how great it is, and like let's get to it because now I'm in the mood. So like sex begets sex, but then when you don't have sex, it starts to become more and more
Dry.
easy to not have sex because it's like, oh, did we really need that? But then you forget that it's great. And then it's a lot psychologically.
No, I can completely understand that. I think I've had previous relationships where it's really weird. Like my libido, like sometimes it can be really strong. And then like sometimes I'm just like, don't touch me, don't come near me, don't breathe on me. And I think for past relationships, that's should have been my red flag that something was wrong when it
Yeah.
had been a very long time. And there were times where like they would try to get fresh and I'd be like, my stomach hurts.
Oh.
And then it'd be like a long time. But then like as soon as the relationship was done, I was out in these streets.
That just means you didn't like
Spreading.
that person. That you didn't like
Right.
that person, right? Like I find myself weirdly lately. I will look at my fiance and I'm like, God, I really am attracted to him. It's been a long time.
Mm.
And I'm like, this is great news because like it has been a long time and I still find myself attracted to him. But even that, sometimes I'm just like I think I do want to get into it, or I'm like, yes, I'm committed to this. And then like we'll start making out or something. And this doesn't happen often. This is very rare, but it has happened where we start making out and I'm like, I can't get into it. Like, it's not even your fault. I am attracted to you, but I'm like, maybe it's my time, like a different time of the month where like my hormones are very low for some reason. And my body is just physically not doing what I'd like it to do. Even if my brain is like, yes, I decided we were going to have sex today. I want to do this. And then we start making out and I can't get into it. And I'm like, damn it. I think this is hormonal or something because it doesn't happen often, but especially like depending on which phase of the monthly cycle I'm in, it can very well just be like my hormones are like, sorry, we're not with you, sis. We just want to sit over here and take a bath and go to bed. I don't know.
Because I feel like for guys, like to me, it's the thought of it that will stress me out. Because, you know, when it comes to relations on our end, especially if you're doing the whole kit and caboodle, there's some preparation that needs to happen and all that stuff.
For you.
And so you bitches. I didn't say anything towards who making any preparations. I'm just saying everybody's got to get ready.
Yes.
We'll leave it at that.
Sure.
Because anybody want that thought in their brain.
Now it's too late.
But like it's the thought of it that will sort of slow me down, and I'll be like, oh, that's gonna be a lot of work. And then I'm like, maybe let's do it tomorrow. But I don't think I've ever, like, once it's started, I'm there. Like, we're going to get whatever needs to be done so we can get to the deed. Has there ever been a time for you, Kelvin, where like Holly was saying, maybe y'all are starting it and you're like, I'm not in it?
Yeah, and that's only ever happened to me since I moved here to Charlotte because my libido and everything else was skyrocketing in South Florida. And then I came here, I think I turned 30 here, and I don't know, I just felt like things kind of changed. There's definitely been times where we're revving up, we're doing everything, and then in the middle of it, I'm like, ooh, I don't think I'm interested anymore. And it's really fucked up. Like,
it's frustrating.
I went to go get tested to go make sure what was going on with me. And I've had results of like low testosterone. Working out has helped me out a lot, but I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, now it's solved. It's perfect now. It's definitely better since working out. But I still have those situations happen now.
And that
from time to time.
I feel like it must be hormonal. I really do think it is for
I
both
think
men
so.
and women, because testosterone is a hormone.
Yeah.
And so that testosterone is the driving force behind why men are so sexually like interested so much of the time.
Yeah.
And as men get older, it's less so because
Mhm.
by naturally you just produce less testosterone.
Yeah.
So same thing for women, and it's like a combination. You've got estrogen, you've got progesterone, you've got all those things making you want to, based on like the calendar of when you could possibly get pregnant or not. It really does come down to like your body being like, we're making babies or not.
Oh.
So it's like when you have that the week, I think it's the luteal phase of the period, like whatever phase it is where you would be ovulating. If you are ovulating, your body is literally programmed to want to have sex so that those eggs can be fertilized.
Oh.
And so a lot of people will be like, let's go. But then like right after the period, or like maybe the week after the period where everything is resetting and like we have just evacuated all of that stuff in there. No baby here, nothing going on. And the hormones are super low. And you're like, I got nothing going on
Mm.
here. So a lot of it is hormonal. And then you throw like, would never say this on the air, but I think I'm, in perimenopause, which is like the years long, by the way, process before menopause, because menopause probably going to be to my 50s sometime, but a lot of women are in it in their 40s.
I feel like I've been seeing a lot of that pop up recently, I guess because I'm in that age group.
Probably
And
so.
I have a lot of like women people that I follow. And so I feel like I've never heard of that term until the past couple of years. And I've started to see it pop up more.
Because nobody talks about it. It's so under researched. And like I see these things, I come across like perimenopause stuff on threads where it's like, does anybody want to talk about some of these weird, like, y'all have itchy ears? Yes. Oh my God. You have itchy ears? Y'all waking up at 3 a.m. too? Yes, I'm waking up at 3 a.m. Why don't we know this stuff? Like, nobody knows this. Like, it's not like when you started your period and in school, they gave you like a training course about what was about to happen. Like, it's just this mystery thing that like you're supposed to figure out on your own, and your hormones are changing. And while you're still getting periods, and sometimes they're a little irregular, like you might have a week where it's like crazy hormones. That happened to me when we were in Charlotte for Love and Life Music Festival. Like my hormone, I was like, whoop! I don't know, I'm on a kick. And then like it'll go through in another month, I won't even get a period, and I'll be like, well, but also have birth control, so that can mess it too. So many things can impact how much and when and how often you want to have sex.
Now, when y'all have been in the process of being with your partner and you're kind of like, hey, let's get it. And then you're like in your head and your body's like, this isn't really my time. How do you say to your partner, I'm not really into this right now?
I've had to learn to say it right then and there, because it's really weird. I don't know what wants it more, either my mind or like my body reacting, but both are not matching up. And if they're both not matching up, then I need to be open and honest immediately. And Oscar has always been very easy to work around with when I tell him, hey, I might not be in the mood, or he's very open and honest too, to be like, I'm not in the mood. And there used to be a lot of guilt behind that. For me, I used to just go along with it, even though mentally and maybe I didn't really want to, but I was like, there's a chance to do it. Come on, let's do it. It's been a while. Yes, why not? And then come to realize as I'm performing, I'm like, I didn't want to do this. And then it's even worse. I've learned that situation is even worse to deal with than to just be open and honest and be like, I'm not in the mood. So.
And every now and then I will try to just like try to get my head in the game, because it has also happened that I'm like, I am not into this. I'm not into this, until he starts doing some other things. And I'm like, well, I'm suddenly interested.
Hey,
I'm back in the game.
Okay.
Tap me in. I'm in. But like sometimes also not. So it's just, Kelvin's right. Being as open and honest as you can without making it like, you have to remind them it's about me. Like it's not about you. It has nothing to do with you. And I'm so sorry that this might be happening. Like it's really truly not about the other person. Cause like I said, I am attracted and all this stuff. And like, I want to have sex with you, but like sometimes I personally, like my brain and my body are not matching up for some reason. And it's a weird thing. And he's been in the position like that too. And I told him, because one time we had a conversation about sex, he's like, and I'm like, but I don't, because like we still sometimes will be shy about initiating, both of us.
Oh my
Weird.
gosh, we are too. And
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, it's almost been a decade.
Right. I'm like, why are we
Why?
still? But we still both do struggle. Like we'll both be like, well, then the next day we'll be. He's like, well, I really wanted to do it, and I'm like, well, why did you say something? Why did you start something? He's like, well, I didn't know if you wanted to do it. I'm like, I would have done it if you did. Like, so we have that whole thing going on. But I tell him too, like he's got to be honest with me when he doesn't want to do it. But the other time we were talking about, he's like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I always want to do it. And I'm like,
Oh.
no.
Oh, wow.
I was like, no, you don't. You think you do right now.
Right.
So first of all, maybe like, and we're just saying plain regular normal brain, you think you might, but there are peaks and valleys. He also has bipolar disorder, which if he's in like an up hypomanic, more of a mood, of course he's going to say he wants to do it all the time. If he's dealing with some light depression, no, he does not want to do it. And I'm just like, I'm going to tell you something. Sex does not work unless you are into it. And I was like, we either like, I can sometimes get into it. I don't know. I just, if that's me or if it's a woman thing or a person thing. But like I said, sometimes I'm like not into it and we'll start making out and then I'm like, not. And then we'll get touchy feely. And I'm like, actually, let's do this. Like it's a
Yeah.
switch that flips.
Right.
There's no switch that flips for him. He's either into it or he's not. And it's not going to work if he's not into it. I could be the most into it in the whole world. And if he's in like a depression or if he simply has something else going on, he's got some, childhood PTSD that plays a role also. So he got a lot going on. So if he's having something in his mind where he is not in that present moment, his mind is elsewhere, we cannot do it. And I have to remind him, I'm like, are you into this or not? Because it's not going to go well.
Right.
Even if I'm into it and I'm trying to make you into it, if your mind is in a bad spot, let me know, please. So we try to have those conversations too.
It makes sense because I feel like I've said this before. That's why I feel like for a long time I was not good when it came to the bedroom because I was always thinking I was thinking.
You were
I wasn't
thinking.
feeling. I wasn't like
That's
in the
his problem,
moment.
too.
I
He's
wasn't
got
like
a thing going in his head.
I feel that too sometimes.
yeah, because I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm taking too long. Or all right, so have we been doing this this position for too long? Do we need to switch? Like, oh my gosh, like, is my back roll showing? Like what? So all that goes through your head. And then when I got with Abe, because it took a minute for us we took about a month before we were intimate. And by the time there was so much tension built up that by the time we got to that and we were like really enjoying each other, like emotionally, that there was no thought. It was just all feels. And I remember being like, oh, this is what good sex is.
Yeah.
I got it.
You have to be in your body, not in
Yes.
your mind.
Right.
And you got to be a little confident.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to know that the other person is with you in it, but you have to stay present in your body and feel the literal physical feelings. If you start getting in your head, you're going to get derailed. And that's, I think, even though they say for women especially, sex is a mental thing, and it is, if you make it too mental and you are not present, it's just not, it's not going to happen. It's not a mental thing. Sex is very much a physical thing.
Right.
But you feel emotions. Like sex is obviously way, way better if you are like in love and in attraction with your person. I mean, I think
agree.
that's hands down, goes without saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because when I think about hookups from back in the day, and I'm like, God, it was so. I mean, there was. I forgot we were on a podcast and I was about to like
spill it. Nasty.
There were hookups that were, after the club. And then there were, like on a Saturday afternoon and you're on the apps.
Oh boy.
And it's sober. And so there were like differences between like what was happening in your brain.
Yeah.
And so like the sort of mindless, drunk, like it's clumsy. It's really not that great. you don't know the person, they don't know you.
You know what they like.
Right.
You did a move that they didn't like, and then
Right.
the vibe is all.
And then like there would be
Horrible.
like things that like just are uncomfortable for how your body is, but then like you don't want to say stop because then that sort of ruins the moment. And so it's just like
You might not even know your body. Like I know
Right.
with my college boyfriend, I had no idea my own
right.
self,
Right.
my own body, what I actually wanted, what things were supposed to feel like. Like that was a whole different like
Mm-hmm.
that
And
was
so that's
just
why then
not
when
good.
Abe and I like got finally to it, and then I was like, I know my body, he knows me, we had talked about it. And so it was like, wow, this is a next level experience. Because I think also too, and I think this can apply to the gay and straight world when you're single, and if you maybe have like low confidence. To me, I was sort of trying to validate myself in those hookups.
100%.
And I was looking to feel, I was hoping that once I got up off that bed, I'd be like, I'm pretty, I look attractive. And
I'm worthy.
yes. And not, well, there was one time. But 90.
But did it last for a long time or did it last for
Absolutely
like a
not.
day?
Well, for a couple hours. And then it was
Right.
like, all right, well,
The shine wore off
Right.
because it's like fake. It's like
that was more so because I was like, that man is a 20 and I am a 5. And
it gives you a little confidence boost for a few hours,
Yeah.
and then as soon as like I said, the shine wears off, then you get back to the same exact old position that you were in.
Well, because then for me, my fucking needy ass back then, I think I probably texted. I was like, hey, like that was so fun. We should do it again.
Oh.
Left unread.
Okay.
And you're like, oh.
I had no self-worth in my hookup era. Like
Mm.
I would hook up with people that this is gonna sound fucked up, but I would hook up with people that I deemed less attractive than me
Mm.
because it made me feel more confident.
Oh, interesting.
And I could probably sit here and tell you none of them were good experiences.
Mm.
I think I don't know. We'd need to do some kind of poll or something, like an anonymous poll or whatever. But like if you're in a situation where you are just doing hookups or whatever, and then you got out of that phase and you fell in love and you're like deep in love with someone now. Looking back, was any of it ever really good? Or was it just that you were insecure or needed self-confidence
Had an
or
itch.
needed self-worth or were trying to fill some hole? I know, pun intended.
Ah,
That's
But
the
you know,
clip.
fill that hole.
No, when you said
No.
derailed, I was like,
but like I just don't know if it's like in the moment you think like, oh, this is living, and then you realize it's actually not. It's
Right.
just like you're sort of plugged into the matrix, and that seems like you're living, but you're not.
Well, I also think too. Well, first I want to give a hand clap to Gen Z for understanding this in their 20s. Because you know they
hookup
keep
culture
saying
is not a
right, it's not
thing.
what it was back when we were younger, and I think a lot of it had to do with what we were consuming in the media and not putting a blame on it. But you know, we've talked plenty of times about how Sex in the City was so formative for a lot of millennials, and how I was like, I want to be Samantha, like I want to go out and you know have my be on a sling somewhere or something. I don't know. Like I want to experience it all.
Yeah, but also look, even as far back as Friends. The
Right,
reason my
right.
mom stopped letting me watch Friends, because Friends came out when I was in middle school, and we watched the first season, and I adored it. I had a calendar, I had the soundtrack on a CD, I loved it, and I was able to watch the first season, and then it went off, and then it came back on for the second season. But Margaret said, "We're not watching the show anymore. They're about all these young people going around and having sex with each other. That is not good values. I'm not letting my kids see this." And so I wasn't allowed to watch Friends anymore.
Oh,
But truly, it was about that. Like they were all just dating and hooking up with everybody. And like that was how the 90s, and then in Sex and the City, then that came out. And it was just all about this liberated freedom to just go do all this stuff.
and I think that we've understood a little bit more now that, and I hate to say that, well, I don't know if this is true, but I've told the story about how when I was in Sabbath school, which is like Sunday school.
I think I'm going to tell Maya this story because
All right.
I was thinking about how actually it's very accurate, and we would laugh about it. We're like,
Right.
"Ah,
But I'm
ah."
kind of like, maybe
There's something to it.
Maybe Miss Letha was on to something teaching Sabbath school back in the day. So they used to tell us when we were at Sabbath school, growing up in my Seventh-day Adventist church, that when you are a virgin, your virginity is a whole cake. And then every time you have sex, you give a slice of your cake away. And so they would say, when you finally get to your partner, to marriage, do you want to give them a whole cake or do you want to just give them crumbs? And so I remember being in my 20s and be like, somebody about to get these crumbs, bitch, because I'm giving this cake out.
Save that. Save that's the clip.
What did you serve up, Abe?
Oh, God. He had a slice left.
He had to make a whole new.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He had half a cake.
Fine.
I tried to give away my cake.
Nobody wanted it.
I was out there on the street with free samples. And nobody
At the fucking food court at the mall,
Girl,
free sample.
I was
They
at.
give him one on a toothpick.
I tried to dive it up, cut it up, dice it up, and I was like, anybody?
You want a lick of the frosting?
You want to put your finger in my frosting? No.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay. You know what we talked about earlier? Know when to get out. I think that's it.
That was it. Yep.
That was
That's
it. That was it. That was it. We can't get much better than that
That's
today.
it. That's all you need. But truly, I think I'm gonna tell Maya that story.
Yes,
because
girl.
It's clearly, Miguel. It stuck with me, and I think about it sometimes. And it's getting to be that age when you teach people about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Teach them about that cake, girl.
About the cake.
Reserve your cake.
That's a delicious whole cake.
Mm-hmm.
You want to enjoy it?
Free samples.
Sample.
Nobody wanted my sample.
I picture like one of those ladies at Publix with gloves on.
No taste
With-
testing.
Maybe
nothing.
in a little cup.
It's in like the little like cupcake paper thing
Yes.
on a tray,
Yes.
and they're like, "Anybody want some Miguel's cake?" And everyone's like, "No, I'm good, thank you." I'm good.
Oh.
But you know what?
You were
Abe
saving it
wanted
for
all my
Abe.
cake.
Abe wants all those
Mhm.
pieces
He
and then
did.
some.
He saw my cake and he said, "Let me take these
And
little
then
pieces
some.
back and put it into a whole cake."
That's
So that's
right.
a 3-tier.
It
He remixed it and he made it even more better.
Made cake pops.
Yes. Oh,
Kelvin, how can people see your cake?
You can see my cake all over my Instagram
Mm.
at Kelvin Live. I was gonna say something nasty. No, you're good.
No. Holly, how can people find your cake?
I hope you can't find my cake on Instagram. Radio Holly on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you.
I think I got pictures of your cake on my phone somewhere, Holly.
I'm sorry. What now?
Mhm.
Well, actually, you probably do. I think the whole city of St. Pete had my cake at some point with that naked broadcast that we did.
Oh, God.
Remember that?
You can find me at Miguel Fuller. One of my reels has gone viral, y'all.
Hooray!
Finally, I'm up to 140,000 views on the one about our little coffee table.
I love
I'm
that.
so excited. So now I'm going to try to milk that and exploit it and do different content around this damn table. So
Yes.
we'll see what we come up with. But at Miguel Fuller on Instagram and TikTok, and we will see you all on Friday. Bye.